To the third and final part of my full stack restaurant application presentation. In this video, I'll be walking you through a live demo of the application, providing information on the deployment, as well as taking a deeper dive into some of the challenges that I faced, some of the additional features that I added or attempted to add, and then providing some final reflections to wrap up the presentation and the product. So you'll see here that the front end of this application was deployed with Versal and is located at that following URL, the goodeatsfrontend.versal.app. There is a GitHub repository for the front end, which is located at goodeatsfrontend under my GitHub username TCAS2162. And the back end of this application was deployed with Heroku and is located at the limitless-earth-97677.herokuapp.com URL address. And the GitHub repository for that backend is located under my username TCAS2162 and restaurant Capstone. I did not use Docker to deploy this. I actually had some trouble getting Docker up and running. That is definitely an area of opportunity for me, something that I want to continue to learn and develop competency with first and foremost, and from there hone my skills further. So without further ado, then we'll go on to the next slide, and I will give you a demonstration here of the application as well. So let's walk over to that now. And if we log in here, all right, let's restart. And you'll see here that when we first come to the page, we have a list of restaurants. We don't have any dishes yet. We do want to sign up. So let's go username, let's say Matt. Let's do Matt at mit.edu. And we'll do GoodEats as the password. So that shows here we've signed up. Again, we can sign in. We'll do Matt at mit.edu, GoodEats as the password. We submit, and we see here that we have a list of restaurants. Do just want to demonstrate that we can also search for restaurants here. As you'll see, if I begin typing in FIF, brings up the 5th season. Same for Maureen's Kitchen, and the same for Good Steer. And then when I select a restaurant, that populates a list of dishes, as well as some information and the option to add to a cart. See the same here for the 5th season, Maureen's Kitchen. And what I'd like to do now is to go ahead and, well, first let me actually demonstrate how we can narrow down the list of items. So here we have pancakes again. I'm going to go and enter. You'll see here that we can actually then narrow down. Once we have a restaurant, we can actually go ahead and narrow down the dishes that we have as well that are available once we go to our restaurant page. So now that I've demonstrated that functionality, let me go ahead and add some items here to the cart. I do want to point out that we can add items from different restaurants all in the same order. Once we have those items in the cart, we can decrease or increase the quantity, and we see that the price changes here. We'll go ahead and add a nice breakfast item as well. So you see here we have 2 of the pan-seared Scottish salmon and 1 of the French toasts for a total of $64. We can go on then to order. And this brings us to our checkout page. And we have basically a test account with Stripe. So we want to enter some fake account information. We'll say 4320 Veterans Memorial Highway, Holbrook, New York. And we want to enter all 4s and 2s. So basically 4242, 4242, 4242, 4242. This is Stripe's default test payment card method. So all automatically will populate an order for us with their fake credit card information. So last we need to enter 242 and the zip 42424. We confirm the order. And now, if we go over to, first let's go to Stripe. We'll see here that we have an order. I'll actually refresh this. We can see the latest. You'll see here we have this order just placed just now, Wednesday, April 13th. And if we go to Strappy, now we can see, if we refresh this page, we have our added user, Matt. We have our persistent restaurants and dishes. And finally, we have our latest order, 39th order here, that has just been added as well. And we can get that information as a string of JSON data with GraphQL as well. So, with that demonstration now complete, I'd like to go back to our keynote presentation here. Just restart that. And I'd like to get into some of the additional features that I attempted to implement, as well as some of the issues that I encountered along the way. So as we see here, as discussed, added features included displaying the restaurants on the home page, only displaying the dishes after selecting a restaurant. I felt that these additional food photos kind of added a little bit of visual flair. I know that many people are foodies and they like to geek out over food photos, so to speak. So again, these features were developed to add some visual flair. And I wanted to add a little interactivity and make the site a little more fluid by not showing any dishes until a restaurant was selected. Now, as we move towards some of the challenges, I failed in my attempts to add state to the navigation bar after the user logged in, and I also failed to add Firebase implementation as well. I actually encountered an issue implementing Stripe, which, as you can see in the demo, is resolved. This was resolved by adding the private key from Stripe to the order.js controller file on the back end. So, as you saw in the basically deployment information, I broke the app into two parts. And initially, I had followed along with the coding assignments and files from the last two videos, but I ended up creating two new repositories. And so one to host the front end and one to host the back end. And in the process, I'm not sure exactly how, but I broke the working Stripe functionality, also lost the ability to host images of the dishes on the landing page in the final version. So I've attempted to troubleshoot this by re-uploading the images multiple times to different places in a local folder, in a Google Cloud Storage bucket, and to Strappy's media library. I've attempted to troubleshoot this, and also additional Strappy issues after updating the app, after breaking it into two parts and then deploying it. I found that I was receiving basically issues saying there are either internal server errors or an issue saying that Strappy connection could not be made, could not be found, and I, to this point, have not been able to resolve those issues. And so, as a result, I would say that the actual application itself is more of a learning experience right now. There is tremendous room for growth, and I would say that if I were to start this project again, from scratch, I would want to do a couple different things differently, as this app kind of became somewhat of a Frankenstein monster that became difficult to maintain. So I'd want to restart from scratch. I'd also want to master Docker, as that still remains largely a mystery to me. It's given me difficulty throughout the program. I'd want to build a separate welcome page with a more fluid, aesthetically pleasing user interface with animations and transitions. Basically, as far as how I would choose to rewrite the application, I'd probably start with just vanilla JavaScript, just to get a handle on JavaScript a little bit better before implementing more React. And if it came to that point, I'd also probably want to practice by rewriting with Tailwind, using Tailwind as well, as I need more practice with that. So in short, this was a start, but I think there were so many obstacles that I failed to overcome that I will treat this as a learning experience and probably rebuild from scratch to further help me to hone my development skills and take them to the next level. So thank you so much for viewing my presentation. I welcome any feedback you may have, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for viewing. Take care.